What's happening, everyone? Nicky Hawkins here, West Ham Fan TV, back once again with another video. Listen, I thought I was going to be giving this live stuff a rest for a little while. We've just finished the season. Sunday night was the last of Friday night pint and post-match pint and all the stuff, the watch-alongs and all that. We were just getting ready to wind down for the season and get some more light-hearted content out. And then West Ham come out with a season ticket renewal. Look, we was all expecting there to be some news with the season ticket renewal. Obviously, it's not going to go on forever. The next season is going to be starting in 6 weeks. We knew that there was going to be something, but in such precedented times, we didn't quite know what the details of the season ticket renewal was. And in my opinion, this is just my opinion, and I'm going to take some of your comments in a second because I want everybody to get. Thank you so much for the guys that join us in the live stream in a minute. I want to take some of your comments. That's why I'm doing this live and not pre-recording it, because I've got my opinion, and I know that other guys are going to have your opinion. So I want to get some of your opinion as well. So the season ticket renewal come out, and basically, this is my reading of the situation. They want you to give them money for no return. They want you to pay up everything that you owe up front. They want you to pay for a full season, even though scientists and everything else dictate that there is going to be a very slim chance that we're ever going to go back this season. Very slim. So, for instance, if I was a car dealer and I was selling you a car and I said to you, look, you pay monthly for this car, but I'm going to tell you when you can and can't drive it. Would you pay it? Because I wouldn't. But this is basically what they're doing. And it's been summed up by one of the in the knows that turns around and said, basically, they want a season-long loan off of us. They rely on the money and they want to take our money, refund it, pro rata, to fund their business. Now, listen, I've got so many issues with it. I've seen a couple, and do you know what? I want people to tell me if you agree with this strategy, because this channel is a platform for everybody. It just lets the this is just my opinion, but there's all sorts of different opinions out there. We like different opinions, but. So they want you to pay up front. So you've got two options, or three options, so to say. You can take a club finance, which if you want to pay the whole thing over a season, it will cost you 6% in interest. You can take an option where you just pay it, and then they'll refund you for each match you can't. It's all done by ballot, by the way. Pulling your number out of a magic hat. And the other option is to transfer it to a friend for a season. There's no option to, for people that might not want to go back, because let's be honest, when we go back, the experience, and I've spoke about this on Friday Night Pint, and I've spoke about this on post-match pint, the experience isn't going to be the same. Myself personally, I don't want to be paying money to go and watch the football. I can watch the football on the TV. I pay my money to go to the stadiums because I like to interact with fans, especially with what we do. We like to speak to people. We like to be around people. The feeling of scoring a goal, the feeling of chanting songs. It's all going to be different, and they want to charge you full price for it. Now, I know they took a couple of fan groups in, and look, I've got someone backstage now that's from Hammers United who's going to have his say in a minute. They took a few fan sites in to have discussions about what they're going to do, and this issue, I know by talking to the people in one of the fan groups, was raised. What are you going to do? We're going to take all the money. And they said to them, listen, I don't think that's a good idea. There's going to be a big backlash. They thought they knew better. Now, there has been a big backlash. There has been a massive backlash about this. And I'm going to bring Andy in a minute to discuss to me just exactly what happened in that meeting and, why they don't agree with it. But that's another issue for me. When they released a statement on the club website, they mentioned that they spoke to fan groups. They mentioned basically they've been consulting with them, and they made it sound like, to be honest, that they all agreed with them. And I know for a fact that that isn't the truth. Now, there is so many issues. People have come back at me on Twitter and saying, well, what are they supposed to do? Well, I tell you what they can do. They can, for instance, they still owe money people for season tickets from last year, the last 5 games. Take that as a deposit. The away scheme at West Ham, if you're an away season ticket holder, is the way it works. You don't pay everything up front. What they do is, because they have to do it via a ballot, because, not everybody's going to get to Bournemouth, not everybody's going to get to go to Tottenham and all of that sort of stuff. They pull it out of a hat, and once they pull it out of a hat, they charge you per game that you go to. Now, who wouldn't be pleased with an option like that? Who wouldn't be? There's also issues of people may not feel safe to go back. There's issues of people being furloughed from work who have lost 20% of their income for the last, 6 months or so, which obviously takes away a lot of their disposable income. There's issues of people that just basically don't want to go back. And you've also got the option, obviously, to not buy a season ticket. But why should you be punished for something that isn't within your control? Absolutely disgusting. There is so many options on the table, and they've once again said they've been consulting with fans and completely ignored the advice of fans. £23.5 million is the sum. It was, as I said before, it was touted by someone on Twitter earlier, quite a well-known person. Is they basically want an interest-free loan. Well, they didn't give us an interest-free loan. Their money isn't interest-free. Why should ours be? Billionaires and millionaires relying on the working class people, the normal people, to fund a business that they could quite easily fund themselves. If there's such an issue with money, if it's such an issue with things like this, put some more money in. Loan the club the money out of your own personal fortune. You'll get it back. That's what this whole scheme's about. You're going to get it back. So it's all about getting that money into. £23.5 million paid up front is a lot of money, and they know that they're going to get interest on that and all of that sort of stuff. That's what it's all about. It reeks. I was so angry last night. Honestly, I was so angry. And I know Dan's done a video and he's covered a lot of the topics and all that sort of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of your comments, and then I'm going to get Andy in from Hamish United. In fact, let's take some of these comments now, because I want to get Andy in as quickly as we can, because he can shed a bit more light onto this. SDG Gaming, hello, brother. How your season tickets are a joke. The moment, however, is not just our club. Premiership is a joke at the moment. It's not just a West Ham thing, it's a Premier League thing. Hamish Chat says, might as well have a cup of tea now. Morning, Nicky. A Yeti to Celtic then? I don't know anything about that. We're talking about season tickets. What is the price? Well, the price is the price of the season ticket, mate. And they're a lot of money. They're not cheap. It's disgusting, Nick says, Corey Kemp. Sadly, it was always coming. Season-long loan without you playing. Clearly a cash flow issue. Martin Geary, big shout out to all your hard work for a very difficult season. I think the season ticket is a real kick in the nuts for the fans. The thing is, Martin, they almost got it spot on. They was good all the way through the lockdown with the refunds, with the not furloughing staff. Everything was perfect until this moment. Ben Hamilton, they want all your money first so they can reimburse you with the interest they make off your money and pay up front. Absolutely. My main problem is a refunding system is the way of club credits. That's another issue as well, is that I brought up this morning. The way they issue refunds, in my experience, is they convert it to club cash, and then you have to sort of apply for real cash. And they do this for a fact that they know that a lot of people, or a few people, even if a couple of people, they won't bother applying for money. They'll just think, it's not worth it. I'm going to use it some other time, blah, 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 blah. And they know this. This is exactly what they've done with the refunds for the season tickets. I took club cash. I just left it in there because I knew that there was going to be tickets to be bought this season. I just left it in there. when they said to me about getting money, I just thought, I can't be bothered. I can't be asked with it all. You know what I mean? It's absolutely disgusting. Andy Walsh, Nicky, I'm shielding. I've done for nearly 4 months and have zero interest in going into a ballot. Exactly, mate. There's going to be lots of people. I've said this. There's going to be lots of people in that same situation. No other company or business would get away with this, mate. They play on our passion for support, for the sport. Listen, this is a major issue as well. This is not going to just be a West Ham issue. I think a few clubs have done it like this. Ironically, Tottenham have done it right. They've done it the way we said. They've asked for a deposit, and you know, probably the way I'm saying it. But Kieran Muston says, I won't be buying my membership. No way. A lot of people are not going to be, I believe. Robert Murphy says, is this what the other clubs are doing? Says Oliver Payne. Some of them, yeah. They're all doing it different ways. Robert Murphy, I ain't going there. Isn't a chance for me to actually watch the game. Chris Mills says, piss take, mate. They're all over 25% from last season, which would cover a number of matches we can attend. If they're that short, why don't our billionaire owners sponsor the training ground or something similar? Yeah, there's loads of stuff. Look, we're going to come back to your comments in a minute. I see my brother's in the comments in a minute. Let's speak to Andy, and then we're going to come back and maybe he can answer some of your comments. So Andy is a representative of Hammers United. Hammers United were one of the few fan groups that were invited to discuss this option, and I know they're not very happy. So let's get Andy in. Hi, mate.
Hey, mate. How you doing?
Can't hear you. You might have... hold on. Right, we've got a bit of a lag issue here.
Delayed.
A little bit delayed, yeah, but no problem. It's not a problem. So, Andy, in your own words, mate, I know that you're not very happy about this. I know that Hammers United have made a bit of a stance against this. They're going to be issuing a statement very soon. Basically, you was one of the groups invited. Tell us a little bit how that meeting went.
Well, I think first to say is that we had a feeling that this might happen when we were invited. So it was a last minute invite and possibly a last minute meeting as well, because I think the club had already made their minds up, and I think they knew that the announcement yesterday was not going to be a popular one. And I think the club also knew that if they extended an invite to Hammers United, we couldn't really refuse it, because, you know, we are a supporters group, and if we get asked to be part of a consultation which is based around supporters and supporter experience, then we do really need to take that invite up. And I think they also knew that then off the back of that, what they would do is they would cite involvement of supporters groups in the article that they put out on Monday, which they did. And they haven't explicitly said that supporters groups have supported anything that they've done. But like you say, what they do is they write an article, they cite supporters groups within the article. And then when you read that article, what you assume is that the supporters groups have been part of that discussion and that they've backed whatever decisions were made. Now, the real specifics, the important specifics is that, you know, everyone got the chance to ask questions. I have to say it wasn't me personally in the meeting, but I heard straight after the meeting from our committee member who was there what went on. And we responded to the club straight away after the statement came out yesterday to follow up on the questions that we asked and why they weren't addressed. Two main sticking points being, one, is this a final decision? So we pressed them on that, and we pressed them and said, you're saying that you're going to charge money up front, which we're making very clear that we disagree with, and we're stating that is not the right thing to do. Can you assure us that this is not a final decision, and that this will be taken away for discussion, and that you will come back to us again? And the answer that we received was, yes, we assure you it's not a final decision. We will go away and discuss this, and this will be brought back to the table. And the second thing that we made was a suggestion, which is one that you've already kind of alluded to this morning, which was in line with guidance from the FSA. So the FSA are saying that no supporter should be put at risk of losing their seat. And they also go on to say a little bit about the current climate that we're in, and how you've got to be appreciative of that climate when you're giving supporters, you know, the opportunity to retain their seat. So what we suggested was, why not ask for example, a £20 deposit? So a deposit where you could say, I'll pay this now towards the cost of my season ticket for 21-22, because I just don't feel like I don't feel safe going to the stadium in 2021, or I don't feel like I'm getting what I would normally pay for in terms of the experience that I'm getting when I go to the ground. I don't want to lose my season ticket. You know, I've been for X amount of years. I sit with people that I've been with for X amount of years, but 2021 is not a safe environment for me, or it's not an environment that reflects what I've paid for the last 20 years. So why not allow those supporters to put down £20, for example, like you do on the waiting list? You keep your place, you keep your, you keep that priority, and you come back when it's safe and when it's the same product that you've paid for the last 20 years. So we were as disappointed and as annoyed as anyone to see the announcement on Monday, and especially disappointed and annoyed that it cited supporter engagement, which then, leads people to believe that the decisions that have been made have been supported by the supporters that were there.
Well,
so
I know, this is the thing, Andy. I know a lot different than to take their word at it. And you've just said there that they took your they adhered to your warning and said, yeah, we'll come back to it and all of that sort of thing. Do you think that the club purposely do this to one, undermine you and make you look bad? And that we all know that they want a club run OSB. I think they're about to appoint their fifth interpretation of the club OSB, because there's been rumblings about democracy and all of that sort of thing. It wasn't very democratic last time and all of that sort of stuff. So that's who they want to adhere to. And me personally, this is my own personal opinion. It's something I can't support, because the people there, they lost my support when they started tweeting adverts. That's not what supporter engagement is about. It's not about, doing what the club want you to do and tell the fans that's how it's going to be. It's about, actually listening to the fans. Now, what I believe has happened here is they've got you all in for a meeting and basically set you up for a fall. And turn around and said, yeah, well, of course we'll discuss it again, and made it look like in the article without saying in so much words, because they're clever people. Basically that's what your supporters groups wanted, so that's what you're getting.
I think the issue that we've got here, which is an issue that we have a lot with West Ham, is that this has left everyone guessing as to what their motives are, because their communication is so poor. And because their decisions never really seem to be decisions that have the fans at the heart of what they do, everyone is left guessing as to why they've done this. You look at the reconfiguration behind the goals, and they've obviously moved fans all over the place. Now, there's different people have got different theories as to why that has happened. I've seen the In the Know account that you've mentioned saying that it's the technology. It's just poor technology. But when you've got such poor communication, such poor trust, such poor fan engagement, what happens is every decision that the club make, you're left second guessing what is the rationale behind that decision. So with the season ticket relocations, people are thinking, well, have they done this on purpose? Are they moving people around to force you to pay your money, to force you to try and get your old seat back? And we're left in that situation again now with this meeting, where we're left questioning, did they schedule that meeting on purpose to try and discredit supporters groups? Because the way that they go about things is so it leaves so many things open to people's question and to your interpretation of what's going on, because their sincerity is non-existent, their communication is so poor, and the decisions that they take are just genuinely not fans-based decisions. And so, these questions naturally come up, and we are left feeling that perhaps we were invited there to have ourselves set up, so that they can come out and say, look, Hammers United have come and engaged with us. We've gone through this process with them. They've supported the decision, so almost take it up with them,
Well, we all know that you guys have been quite instrumental in creating protests. Do you think this may be this is just speculation and obviously allegedly and all of that sort of thing to cover us from any sort of liable cases, but saying Hammers United sort of agree with something that supporters obviously don't agree with, a bid to disband you, discredit you, lose your followers, lose your momentum,
I think I would say in some ways it's a bit of a compliment. I think that the club have it's a compliment that they've potentially put this meeting in there to try and discredit us. Now what that tells me is if they have done that, then they must be concerned about the support that we're getting and the position that we're in.
I'm sure they are.
So if they are inviting us to meetings and then almost kind of tagging our name alongside the decisions that they're making, and if it is an attempt to discredit us, then that kind of shows you the position that we're in as a group. And if we wind back a year, this time a year ago, we were furiously lobbying the club and furiously writing letters to the club to say, please talk to us, please let us have a meeting, please engage with us. And a year ago, all we were getting was a stock response, which was the club's engagement with supporters happens through the official supporters board. If you would like to engage with the club, you're more than welcome to join the official supporters board. You're more than welcome to have a seat on the board. So, in a year's time to go from essentially a standard reply email to all of our correspondence with the club to them potentially manipulating a situation to try and discredit us, hopefully shows, how far we've come as a supporters group. And I think the difference between us and the official supporters board that was there previously is at the crux of what needs to exist for a fans group, which is that it should be a fans group which is independent of the club. So because we're independent of the club, we can come on a show like this and we can release a statement like we're going to release today, which we're allowed to say whatever we want because we are independent of the club. We're not relying on our position to be maintained in those meetings by a construct that is created by the club. So I think that's hopefully the difference where, in supporter consultation in the past, you can't have members of the official supporters board coming out and giving their own personal opinion because they are not independent of the club. Whereas, Hammers United, we're an independent group and we're accountable to our members and nobody else.
A bit like West Ham Fan TV and West Ham TV. They can't say what they want. We can say what we want. And that's why we're talking about this today. Let me take some comments, Andy. Then we'll get on to the final part of the conversation. The season ticket thing is ridiculous. I think they should email every season ticket holder and ask them if they want to come back. If they don't, save their seat for next season. Do you know what? I was thinking about it today. If they said to me, it may not open, you're not going to get that full experience, but what we're going to do is we're going to take your money and we'll that's going to secure your seat, but we can sell it. I would even accept that. The money that I've left in there, and that's 150 quid, I would accept that as a deposit if they give you that option. Complete disrespect for us fans who don't want to take a big health risk for a nearly empty stadium. Social distancing might work at the stadium, but not in Stratford Station. We know how busy that will be. Our owners have been piss poor since they bought the club, says Boogie Knight. GSB out, says DSB Extreme. That's my feelings. It's sad to think that the club cannot just get anything just right. Sad times ahead, to be honest. Screwing fans like usual. This is West Ham United London, not the club we used to know. Matt Gidman says you speak so well, Andy. Money up front, that's all that matters to them, says Kieran. Tommy Boy says my mate works for HSE, thinking about mandatory face masks for fan returns in the stadium. That'll be down to, you have to wear them in Londis. You're not going to not have to wear them in stadiums, are you? That's going to be part of the course. I think they let themselves down. They acted well to the staff during the furlough. That's what I said. They got it almost right. Spot on, Andy. Exactly my situation. Must be said to protest. No mercy this time. Don't think there has ever been any mercy in a protest, mate. The club have been nothing but contempt for independent fan groups. Hammers Chat says I don't think they do it to try and make Hammers United look bad. They just can do what is best for them and have someone left to blame. I don't know about all clubs, but Saints are doing the same as us, apart from it's 14 days refund, not 30. You can't trust a word that comes out of these crooks, but there's loads and loads of comments coming in. Sorry if I can't get to them all, but we have to press on with the next thing. Christian O'Brien says the only feasible option is what you said, Nicky, pay as you play. So pay games as you go. Don't take the full amount of us. Would love to be proud of my club from top to bottom. Shame about the top. Yeah, absolutely. One more thing, must be a law against this in regard to Customers Consumers Act, paying money, not getting the goods. Listen, we're in unprecedented times. Anything you want to answer there, Andy? Do you think there might be a law against this?
I'm no lawyer, mate. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can answer that. I mean, there's a couple of interesting comments there, and I think it's important sometimes not to get too bogged down in the specifics of the situation. I think it's important to remember that this is just another example. There's a plethora of examples out there that when we released an article, I think it was yesterday, about a reminder of why we're in the position that we're in, and I think it's just important to remember that nothing that they do, nothing that Gold, Brady, and Sullivan do, is based on the supporter experience. No decision that they take is based on a supporter experience. Now, what it is
their old business model on, I thought.
Well, they like to peddle the narrative that everything they do is based on supporter experience, because that bodes well for them as business people, because as in any other business you should put the customer first, whereas in a football club you don't need to put the customer first, because the customer will come back no matter what you do. I mean, we're sitting here having this conversation now, and I would imagine that the sad fact of the matter is that me, you, and most of the other people messaging in will probably renew their season tickets and will probably give them the money. So they know that in this business you don't need to put the customer first. So the sad fact of the matter is that time and time again, they prove that the decisions that they take don't have the fans at heart, and they also prove that they don't care, because they don't even bother trying to communicate it in a respectful manner. I mean, a lot of the time when you don't agree with someone's decision, if the communication with you is honest and open, perhaps sometimes you even come around and you even say, do you know what, I don't agree with you, but at least you've been honest. And I think it was Gonzo no, not Gonzo, sorry. I think it was I was watching a video last night. The guy, the Geo, that was it, yeah. And he said, you know what, I think it's something along the lines of, if they'd have come out and said, look, we're really strapped for cash, we're really struggling, as a season ticket holder, we essentially, we really need your money, perhaps some people would have actually turned around and gone, they still would have said, a terrible state of affairs having these people run our club, but perhaps they would have gone, oh, well, do you know what, they've been honest, and I'll at least give them a little bit of credit for that. But they don't make any decisions with the fans at the heart of their decision, and they're never honest in their communication. And to be honest, it's just another example of that, and another example of why we need them out of our club.
So just to be clear, Andy, what is Hammers United stance now? What do you think is going to happen from this position? Do you think they'll go back?
We've asked them to revoke the decision. Yeah, we wrote to them straight away. We were really clear on the positions that we made in the meeting. We were really clear on the assurances that we were given, and we're really clear without being threatening. We're really clear that our position is we need them to revoke this decision. In terms of our position as a group, and I think someone alluded to it there, in terms of not giving them any mercy or any respite. I mean, I agree with what you say in terms of there certainly hasn't been any backtracking on our part. I think it has felt like that they have had respite because of the pandemic, and we as a group felt that it was only right to allow people to concentrate on family lives and not West Ham when we're going through such a difficult situation. But we don't think that fans' opinion has changed. We certainly haven't had any communication from our members to say that fans' opinion has changed. And in our view as a group, we pick up exactly where we left off. you know, when we finished our last protest. Nothing has changed.
Okay, so Andy, just before I let you go, mate, we're going to be ending the show up now. Thank you so much for everyone in the comments that's got involved. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to your comments. There's just so many coming through. It's going like a fucking. It's just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I'll get to some more just as Andy goes off. But just Andy, where do people follow you? Where do people become a member of Hammers United? How do you make this group stronger and stronger and stronger? Because, you know, I think it needs something like this to, you know, to change the way the club is run.
Hopefully, yeah, hopefully. So you can sign up at hammersunited.com, and that has all of our kind of statements on it and our press releases and all of the information about who we are as a group. But you can also join on our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter as well, and you'll get links to all of that information and everything that comes out from us as a group. Thanks very much for having me on, mate. Really appreciate it. And hopefully that's given us an opportunity to express our position.
Well, hopefully, you know, even if it's, you know, reminds a couple of people that, you know, who may have been sucked into the propaganda that isn't the case. I hope it helps you out, and I'm fully behind Hammers United, everything they do. So, yeah, go and follow Andy, go and follow Hammers United and all of that sort of stuff. But lovely to have you on, mate. Thanks for making your position clear.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for having us on, mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers. One, two. 1, 2. Is that better? Can you hear me now? It was going so well. Okay. Right. So people are saying it's better. Right. So, you know, people are saying, like, I want to hear from the people that think that, you know, it is a fair decision. You know, we want all sorts of opinions. People are telling me on Twitter that, well, you know, what else were they supposed to do? Well, I can give you a couple of options, which would be a lot better to the position of a lot of people. You know, they've got to start to understand these millionaires and billionaires seem to forget at times that, you know, we are working class people. They seem to forget that for the last 6 months, a lot of people have lost their disposable income. A lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of people are, you know, just ill and don't want to get ill or can't afford to get ill because they'll die if they do, you know. And to threaten, you know, supporters sometimes upwards of 20 years, 30 years, who have supported their move to the London Stadium, who buy season tickets and all of that sort of stuff, to sort of threaten them and say, look, you've got a month. If you don't decide in a month, even though there's a global pandemic, and they say you've got a month, you know, and some people ain't as lucky as me. They don't travel from here, you know, from, you know, just up the road to the stadium. People travel from all over the country. You know, what happens if you turn up? That I'm assuming they're still going ahead with the temperature checks, which are going to make the lines a lot longer, which is going to make the experience a lot more difficult. And if they get to the temperature checks, what happens if you come, you know, like my mate Gio from Scotland? He comes from Scotland and he's 2.2 degrees over the limit. They go, sorry, Gio, you can't come in, mate. You know, is it fair to be putting this sort of pressure on a society, on fans, you know, that may not have that disposable income, that may not know what the future holds in terms of their job? I've lost my job. I haven't got a job as it stands. I'm jobless. It's, you know, that's why I'm talking to you on a Tuesday morning at 10:55. I lost my job at the beginning of the pandemic and have struggled to find work since. Well, decent work anyway. You know, I don't know whether I can afford it. Maybe I can't. Maybe I can. I'm saving up for a wedding. You know, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I'm trying to, you know, get to a point where I can at least pay my bills for a few months. But, you know, at the moment, it's becoming increasingly difficult now to have this slapped on it. Just say, look, you got a month. If you ain't paid in a month, you're going to lose it. In my opinion, I'd rather fucking lose it. I don't want to go back to football anyway under that circumstances. I don't want to go to football anyway under the premise of having to sit 4 seats away from everybody. It's just stupid. It's not the same experience. It's not the reason why I go and watch football. I can watch football anywhere. I can watch football on the television like I have been. You know, my experience, the reason why I pay for tickets is because I want to support my team. I want to support my club. I want to see my friends. I want to stand in the stands with other like-minded fans, get that atmosphere and get everything else. They don't need our financial support. They're billionaires and millionaires, and they're asking for working class people to loan them the money. I haven't got the money to loan. Sell one of your flats. You know, I see can you plaster, Nicky? No, I can't plaster, mate. I've never done it. No, that's the problem with my situation. Because I've been in an industry that's sort of gone up, tits up. I haven't got a lot of other skills. But yeah, anyway, as I said, you know, we're in a situation now where the people that don't live in reality have to start looking at reality. People haven't got that sort of money, cash on hip. People want to go to the football, but they don't want to go under certain circumstances. You can't punish people and give them 4 weeks to decide whether or not that's what they want to do, especially under today's circumstances. Thank you so much for everyone that has been in this chat today. I know it's been 37 minutes. As I said, I wasn't planning to do this, but I needed to say something, and I needed Andy to say a few words as well. I think it's only fair. But thank you so much for joining us. Please, if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. There's a Patreon and T-shirts linked. They all support us through these tough times. You know, check them out. It might be something that you might be of interest. But if you don't, can't afford to or whatever, just leave a subscription button, share the video. It helps us out. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of, well, whatever this was. We'll see you next time. Keep the faith. One thing left to say, come on, you Irons.